International break is finally over and we are back to club football. There's some massive games coming up this weekend and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Gareth Southgate's decision to bring back Ivan Toney and whether he'll make the squad for the Euros and what's going to happen at the bottom end of the table. There's so much to play for as we are finally in the run-in, and Sky Sports has done an incredible advert to promote the final few games in the Premier League season. This is One Kick from Glory and it's me and Craig here today. Yeah. And we're going to start off with the England internationals. Lots happening, lots to talk about with that. For you, Craig, how did you view this international break?
I didn't want it to happen. Arsenal were in a good momentum and good form. I wanted to just skip it, but I think it was good that the international break as well because it gives Southgate a chance to look at some of the players that it could potentially go to the Euros. Like some players had an A+, done well. Like Kobe Mainoo did well. Toney did very well yesterday, scoring a penalty in a pressure moment. And there's some players that didn't do very well. Like Lewis Dunk had a stinker yesterday. Yeah, made a mistake. Jordan Pickford looked off the ball, gave her 2 goals yesterday. Not his normal self. He brought his Everton form into it yesterday. Still an issue at right back at the moment. I would say Carl Walker's injured. Trent is injured. There's still shortage of centre backs as well. Left back is a big problem as well. Because Chilwell didn't do well in both games. Looked very shaky. So I think England need to look again and see who they can go. But some players who've done well, like Mainoo, Bellingham did very well in both games. Declan Rice, as always. Jared Bowen played well yesterday, was very lively. Was a good backup for Saka. Toney could be a backup striker to Harry Kane, I would say. I think he done more in the 2 games than what Ollie Watkins did in the 2 games that he was given an opportunity to do, to be honest. It looked more threatening. There's still question marks over the left, over Phil Foden as well in the England team. Like, where's his best position? I personally thought he should play as a number 10 in the England team. I think he should play as a number 10 and just drop Bellingham back as a number 8 or something like that. Have Declan Rice as a number 4, have Bellingham as a number 6, and have Foden as a number 10. Have Saka on the right, Kane through the middle. Then you can either have Rashford, Gordon, or whoever gets picked for that left wing position. I don't know what is it with, because I remember watching Phil Foden a couple of years ago playing under 21s tournament, and he plays as a number 10, and he got the ball from the middle of the midfield, did a jinky run, went past like 5 or 6 players and scored a world class goal. So I thought he's got that potential. He could be like David Silva role. David Silva did at Man City a couple of seasons. I think he's got the ability to do that. I'd love to see like Pepper as well, give him a chance in the number 10 role. Not against us on Sunday, but
Of course not. No.
But like in the future, he's got the ability to play as a number 10. He's got all the attributes to be a number 10.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Southgate with what he does. Obviously, we know Bellingham from his time in Dortmund, he did play a bit deeper with the licence to roam. And I think when he's been at Real Madrid, people have been a bit confused as to like what his role is, because he has been appearing in a lot more attacking positions and people think he's more of a number 10. But actually, from the beginning of the season, he's more of like a box-to-box 8. It's just that as the season's progressed with his goal scoring, he's been staying high up the pitch. So for the national team, there's definitely scope for him to play as a box-to-box player or a bit higher up. The other issue you have is if you are going to play like a system with a number 10, then the arguments would say, well, why can't Maddison start in that position? Because, there's a good shout for him to be in that role over someone like Foden, who I think can come off the wings and play comfortably there because he's done it before. For Man City, he doesn't always play through the middle. He very rarely plays through the middle, but when he does, he plays well.
Yeah.
I guess that's the big question now for Southgate is what does he decide to do? Like, what would you do when you look at the choices for that number 10 spot? You're looking at potentially, Foden, you've got Maddison, you've got Bellingham. You've also got the option as well, which they could do in some games, of dropping Kane deeper and he could occupy that space and have someone else up front, like a Watkins or even a Toney or someone else. But what would you do with those options? How would you go for it?
I would go for like whoever's the best, whoever's in top form. Obviously, Foden has to start in the Euros. He can't be on the bench. He has to start because
should start.
Should start.
Yeah,
because he's had a great season. But the thing is, he hasn't really shown his Man City form in the England shirt yet. That's the only issue I've got. Everything else is a quality player, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't shown his Man City form. I don't know if it's because maybe it's a different manager, different system, or...
I love how you said maybe it's a different manager. Like, we all know everyone struggles under Southgate. I don't think anyone's really thriving in that sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big question as well we'll come on to. But yeah, it's hard to bring your club form to the national team. Unless you're Bukayo, then it's just
I'll say you could, yeah, you're right. You could drop Kane to number 10 and play Tony, or you could play Watkins, whoever he brings to the Euros. Between him, Maddison, and Bellingham for the number 10 role, I would say.
Which one would you start? First game of the Euros, who you starting? In fact, what would be your England starting 11? First game of the Euros, because there's been a lot of discussion and debate about it this week. I know BBC Sport have done their own different 11s. I've been quite intrigued to see who they've picked in the midfield three. So who would be your starting 11?
If Pickford in goal, he's the number one. Right back, Carl Walker. There's no, you know what I mean. Centre back would have to be Maguire and Stones. Left back, if Luke Shaw's not fit, I'm gonna throw a spanner in the works. So I'll play Joe Gomez there.
Okay.
Because I think Chilwell's not been in good form. It looks very shaky. I'll put Joe Gomez there. So it'd be like three at the back and then have Carl Walker bombing forward and have them three just holding back. In midfield, Declan Rice is number 6 with Bellingham and that's a good one. I don't think Calvin Phillips wasn't even in the squad this time. Is he going to get picked?
Probably, he'll make it.
I'll put Bellingham, Rice, and
because it gets tricky.
Bellingham, Rice, and Foden. I'll put Foden in that number 10 role.
And then your front three.
I'm a front three: Saka, Kane. Do you know who I was starting the Euros? Anthony Gordon.
Off the left.
He's played well this season. I think he's really. When he first came from Everton to Newcastle last season, I didn't see all the hype was about. But this season, it's just turned his whole. The man, he's working hard over the summer and listen to the manager said and whatever. He's a different player now. So I'll either start him or the guy, who else? I don't know if Grealish is going to be fit for the Euros.
Yeah, I think he'll probably make it. Whether he'll be fit enough to start is another thing.
But I think I'll definitely start Gordon. I wouldn't start Rashford because Rashford's form has not been very good, but Gordon will have to start. Gordon or Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer could be an impact sub. Come off the bench and can do something.
I think Gordon to start off the wing. That's a good shout.
Or even Jared Bowen could start as well.
Bowen's a really good shout. It's interesting though when you mentioned about like starting Gomez, you could have like a back three. It then makes me stop and think. Well, we know that Kyle Walker has played centre back for England in the past. He's played there for Man City, sort of in some of the Champions League games last season.
Yeah.
It begs the question then: why not have a back four or a back 4/back 3?
Yeah.
Which would have Stones, Maguire, and Walker, and then Trent. Outside of
I didn't forget about Trent. I like Trent in the midfield role. I feel like when you play as right back, I think he's so good going forward. Defensively, he's not that great. Going defending wise, not that great. So I think like if you're playing against a Germany or a France, when you got Mbappe, I would rather have Carl Walker on that right hand side to deal with Mbappe than having a Trent Alexander-Arnold dealing with an Mbappe. To be honest with you,
I can see that, but then at the end of the day, both players are great and they both won a Champions League. But for me, when I think about it, in tournament football, you need players that can make a key difference. Like we all know for club football, for example, Pogba's deficiencies on the ball. And how, if you press him a certain way, or if he gets too overexcited, you can get a bit too, his ball rolls might not work out, you can kind of pressure him and get him to lose the ball. But at the same time, he can make anything in an instant. And with Trent, it's the same. Like if you have him in that team, if you're like Kane, not even Kane, if you're Bowen, if you're Saka and you're playing on the wings and you see Trent's got the ball in midfield, you're going to just move. Even if you're Kane, you're going to start moving because you know that ball can come. Bellingham will be making so many third man runs knowing, okay, if Trent's got it, he can drop it in behind himself, or he might just loft it up to Kane. Kane just a little flick on. I'm in business. So I think that's the thing where I think Southgate needs to find a way to incorporate him into the team. Definitely. It might make things a bit lopsided, but if you're saying like, okay, you'd put Joe Gomez left back because Chilwell's form's a bit hit and miss. Trippier, we're not sure about fitness wise, and same with Luke Shaw. Then for me, it's like, well, if you're going to go Joe Gomez, I'd definitely start Trent, and then I'll just, if it's going to be a hybrid back 3, I'd even have Kyle Walker as the left-sided player. So that we're in offense, we're shuffling to a back three, and then off the ball, it's back into a back four.
So you do it like how Guardiola and Arteta's done at Arsenal, having having with Shevchenko, having play like a extra
inverted.
midfielder,
Yeah, that's what I'd do.
Okay.
And in fact, I would give both of them license. So I'd say, if the Wolves attack down the left hand side, Carl, you can invert, make things happen, or overlap. And if it's going from the right hand side, I'll say to Trent, no, do your thing. But you'd create a platform for them. So then that's why the midfield partnership is going to be quite key. So having Rice there, having him a bit deeper, just to kind of create that connection with the centre back, so that when they get the ball, they can give it to Rice, he can then give it to Trent, and then we can get things moving. So
the reason why I didn't pick Trent in the squad of the team, because I thought that he's been injured for a while now. He had an injury, he came back and gone back out again. So I didn't know how fit he's going to be for the Euro. That's why I didn't pick him. Or else he would have been my number one pick, but because he's been injured. But then I know how when he comes back, what form he's going to be in. But if he's fit, you take him.
100%. And I guess that is a big thing about his form. Like, we don't know how he's going to be, but that's the challenge for the manager, to get the best out of the team and pick the best players. And speaking of the manager, obviously, I saw the clips of how he was celebrating the equaliser for, we scored against Belgium. And I think there's been a lot of question marks about Gareth Southgate. So rumours linking him to Man United. And like I said in the previous podcast with Matthew, by all means, make it happen. I think that's a match made in heaven. It'll be great. I think it will be the best decision.
Yeah.
But there is this question about performance and how well the national team have achieved. And when you think about the job that he had when he took over, and even the FA's own kind of objective, which is for us to win a trophy by 2020, I think by 2023. So actually we've kind of failed that already, but he's got a chance this summer to kind of get over the hurdle. But looking at their own objective of we need to win a tournament by within 10 years when they said it, I think 10 years ago now, maybe 11 years ago now. And you think about, the tournaments we've had, the Nations League, how we lost it, the World Cup, how we got knocked out against France, the Euro Championship final at Wembley, at home, and we were 1-0 up, and we just didn't have any other attacking threat.
Yeah.
And then we lost it on penalties. And you think about how, and actually Rory, he's a podcast creative YouTuber guy, he made a very good point on a podcast episode. He's talking about Southgate. Every time we faced a team in the top 20, I think he said top 20 ranks in the world, we don't do well.
Yeah.
We barely beat them. We usually draw or lose.
Yeah.
And that's a massive indictment against Southgate's reign at England. And you sit back and think, and I think about that World Cup run, we looked good until we faced a tough team. And then we had no answers.
But the 2018 World Cup, we lost against, was it Croatia?
Croatia knocked us out.
Yeah.
But the toughest, when we started playing big boys, we just couldn't match them. But yeah, we've got the players that can. And the question I say is like, what do you think happens now? Do you think they should stick with him because of the progression England have gone on? And we have progressed. He's gotten us to finals. He's getting us to these tournaments. He's getting us to quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. But we just haven't gotten over the hurdle. Do you think they should keep him? Or do you think they should look at it and say, you know what, Southgate, you've done a great job getting us this far, but we want to give someone else a chance now because we have these players, and you think Kane, he might only have 2 more tournaments left in him, and you want to maximise, that.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I think if it doesn't do well in this tournament, I think you just have to say to him, you know what, time to thank you for your help, thank you for your service, it's time to go. Because I feel like the same for Arsenal and Arteta as well. A lot of people are saying about Arteta, if he doesn't win anything this season, give him another season, or would he give him another contract again? But I think the thing is with Gareth Southgate, England have got a great squad. We've got great players. Like, we've got so many good. The only thing that we're very short on, I would say, is centre forwards. Everything else, we've got right backs, got a lot of right backs coming through, a lot of left wingers, a lot of centre mids, a lot of all these new players, goalkeepers, all that coming through. I think centre back and centre forward is the only position at the moment England are struggling with players in position, and left back. Other from that, right back, they've got so many. You got Reece James, you got Trent, you got Kyle Walker, you got Trippier. Left back, you only got Luke Shaw and Chilwell. You haven't got anyone coming through, knocking down the door saying, I want to take the left back position. Centre mid, you got Declan Rice, you got Foden, you got Mainu, you got so many good young midfielders coming through. Left wing, you got Anthony Gordon, you got Cole Palmer, you can play there. You got Sterling if he gets fit again. On the right wing, you got Saka, you got Foden, Foden can play there. You got Jared Bowen, you can play there. Strikers, you got like Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, you got Harry Kane, you got the other striker for Newcastle, Callum Wilson. That's the only one, and you got Dominic Solanke should be knocking on the door now.
You got Eddie Nketiah as well.
Eddie Nketiah, but he needs to step up if he wants to get into the team again. You even got Smith Rowe if he can get his form back again. You got a lot of English players, a lot of talented English players out there who are coming through now. So I feel like if England don't do well in this Euros, I think they will do well, but I think he has to win it so if they stay in the job.
Do you think England will win it the way how Southgate has managed these last internationals, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of tactical switch up?
He has to do a tactical switch up. Maybe he has to play like how England play in the Premier League, how English first play in the Premier League. Go for the kill, win the game, beat teams. A bit like how Arsenal done. Like remember Arteta at the start of the season, we're playing with the handbrake on in games. Like we're not winning. We're go for a cheeky 1-0 or 2-0, and then after the Dubai trip, we started beating teams 6 or 7-0. I think Gareth Southgate needs to let the handbrake off because he's a very defensive coach. That's the thing. That's the only issue I have with him. He's very. I know he's a defender. I think like if you look at like teams like Brazil and like not so much Brazil, I'll say like France. How the managers got so these A-star players and they know how to go and win games.
But the thing with France is, in a way, like Deschamps is also a defensive-minded coach. Like, so they're not too dissimilar. The only difference is when it comes down to how France are structurally playing, how they build up. And I look at France, I look at Arsenal.
Yeah.
And there are things you can pick up in what they do where they're not similar, but there's ideas where you can see it's consistent. So, France's football is based on a solid defence. Now, we can argue about the defenders because obviously Upamecano for club level was shockingly poor most of the time. Varane is in and out of form. Pavard sometimes can be a bit lax. Obviously, he's a big fan of Konate, so Saliba doesn't really make it in. But they have a defensive structure and they have a midfield structure of players that are, you got technical brilliance and you got hard workers. So you got Rabiot, you got Tchouameni in there. Camavinga has to play left back sometimes because his midfield is so stacked. You got players like Fofana who can come in, and obviously then you got ahead of that you got Griezmann, you got Giroud, you got Mbappe, you got Dembele, you've got Coman, you've got Thuram. You've got so many options on the offensive side, but all of that is unlocked by what's behind them. And players like Griezmann who's got the freedom to just move wherever and make things happen if things aren't working. Whereas I think with Southgate, the defensive structure, you can say, okay, that's good, but it's the rest of it. We've got so many creative players, like unlock them, give them freedom. I always think back to that World Cup, the Euros against Italy. We went 1-0 up. Chiellini